It is 3:17 in the morning on February 27th, 2026, and I have not slept. I cannot sleep. My hands are shaking as I write this, and my heart will not stop racing. I have been sitting here in this cliffside garden overlooking the terraced vineyards for hours now, just staring out at the darkness and trying to process what I experienced. The air is cold and crisp, carrying the scent of dew and earth and the faint sweetness of early spring blossoms. Below me, the terraced vineyards stretch out into the darkness like steps leading down into the unknown, their dormant vines waiting for the warmth that will soon awaken them. Above me, the sky is vast and filled with stars, each one a reminder of how small I am and how big God is. I know how this sounds. I know what you are thinking right now. But I have to tell you this. I cannot keep this to myself any longer. What I am about to share with you is going to change everything. And I mean everything. And if you are listening to this right now, if you are reading these words, then I need you to know something important. You were meant to hear this. You were chosen to receive this message. Heaven marked you for this moment. I do not know why you specifically, but I know that you are not here by accident. So please listen to me. Hear me out. What I have to tell you is urgent. It is time sensitive, and it is directly for you. The weight of what I experienced tonight is pressing down on me like a physical burden. Every time I try to close my eyes, the images flash through my mind again. Every time I try to rest, the words echo in my spirit. I cannot escape it. I cannot ignore it. And I cannot keep it to myself. This message is burning within me like a fire that cannot be contained. It is demanding to be released. It is demanding to be shared. And so I am sharing it with you. Not because I want to, but because I have to. Because heaven has entrusted me with this revelation. And heaven is counting on me to deliver it. I need to start from the beginning. I need to tell you how this all happened so you understand that I am not making this up. I was not looking for this. I was not expecting this. In fact, I was doing the exact opposite. I was trying to get away from everything. The past few weeks have been overwhelming. The world has felt so heavy, so chaotic, so filled with noise and confusion that I just needed to escape. So I came here to this place, this cliffside garden with its terraced vineyards stretching out into the darkness below. It is quiet here, peaceful, far away from the demands and the pressures and the constant bombardment of information that fills our days. I thought I would find rest here. I thought I would find clarity. I thought I would find answers to the questions that have been weighing on my heart. But what I found was something completely unexpected, something that has shaken me to my core. This place has been a sanctuary for me for years. Whenever life gets too overwhelming, whenever the noise becomes too much, I come here to this garden. It sits on the edge of a cliff overlooking miles of vineyards that have been cultivated for generations. The stone walls that create the terraces are ancient, built by hands that have long since returned to dust. The vines themselves are old, their roots deep in the soil, their branches gnarled and weathered by seasons of sun and rain, of abundance and scarcity. There is something about this place that speaks to me, something about the combination of ancient permanence and seasonal change. Something about the way the land has been faithfully tended through generations of faithful laborers. I have spent hours here just sitting on this stone bench, watching the clouds move across the sky, listening to the wind whisper through the vines, feeling the peace that seems to emanate from the very earth itself. But tonight was different. Tonight the peace was shattered. Tonight the silence was broken. Tonight everything changed. It started around midnight. I was sitting on this stone bench right here where I am now. The moon was full and bright, casting silver light across the vineyards. The air was cool and crisp with that hint of spring that comes in late February. I was praying, actually, just talking to God in that honest, raw way you do when you are alone and desperate. I was telling him how tired I was, how confused I felt, how I did not understand what was happening in the world or in my own life. I was asking him for direction, for wisdom, for some sign that he was still there, that he still had a plan. And then everything changed. The atmosphere shifted. I cannot explain it exactly, but the air suddenly felt different, heavier, charged with something. The silence that had been so peaceful became filled with presence, a presence so powerful, so holy, so overwhelming that I fell to my knees right there on the stone path. I was trembling. I could feel it in every part of my body, this shaking that started deep inside and radiated outward until I could barely hold myself up. It was not fear exactly. Or maybe it was fear, but a different kind of fear. Not the fear of harm or danger, but the fear that comes from encountering something so much bigger than yourself, something so much holier than yourself, something so much more powerful than anything you have ever experienced. It was the fear that Isaiah felt when he saw the Lord high and lifted up. It was the fear that Peter felt when he fell at Jesus' feet and said, "Depart from me, for I am a sinful man." It was the fear that comes from realizing in that moment just how small you are and just how big God is. And in that moment of overwhelming fear, there was also overwhelming peace, a peace that did not make sense, a peace that should not have been possible in the midst of such terror. But it was there, a peace that said, "You are safe," a peace that said, "You are loved," a peace that said, "I am here." And then he was there, Jesus, standing right in front of me, not as some distant figure, not as some abstract concept, but right here, real, tangible, more real than anything I have ever experienced. I could see him clearly in the moonlight. His robes were white, but not like any white I have ever seen. They seemed to contain light within them. His face was filled with such compassion, such love, such intensity, that I could not look away. But his eyes are what I cannot get out of my mind. They were filled with tears, not tears of weakness, but tears of grief, tears of love, tears that held centuries of longing. He looked at me and I felt completely seen, completely known. Every secret, every fear, every doubt, every failure, he saw it all. And the amazing thing is that in his gaze I did not feel condemned. I felt loved. I felt cherished. I felt understood in a way I have never been understood before. But I also felt the weight of his sorrow, the weight of what he was about to show me. I have read about Jesus my whole life. I have heard sermons about him. I have sung songs about him. I have prayed to him, but nothing could have prepared me for actually seeing him, for actually being in his presence, for actually looking into his eyes. The reality of him was so much more than any description could capture. His presence was not just physical, it was spiritual, it was emotional, it was intellectual, it was every part of me being engaged with every part of him. And in that engagement, I was changed. I am still being changed. I will never be the same. How could I be? Once you have seen him, once you have encountered him, once you have been known by him, you cannot go back to who you were before. The old is gone, the new has come. And that newness is not just about behavior. It is not just about habits. It is about identity. It is about knowing who you are because you know whose you are. He reached out his hand and touched my shoulder. His hand was warm and strong, and I could feel power flowing through his touch. He spoke to me, not with an audible voice exactly, but with a voice that resonated in my spirit, a voice that was both thunder and whisper, a voice that carried authority beyond anything I have ever known. He said my name. He knew my name. And then he said something that I will never forget as long as I live. He said that the time has come, that the season of waiting is over, that the moment heaven has been preparing for has arrived. He told me that he was going to show me 7 things, 7 markers, 7 signs that reveal what comes next for his chosen ones. He said that these 7 things would explain everything that is happening in the world right now. They would make sense of the chaos. They would bring clarity to the confusion, and they would prepare those who have ears to hear for what is about to unfold. As he spoke these words, I could feel the weight of them settling into my spirit. This was not just information. This was not just prophecy. This was invitation. This was commissioning. He was not just telling me what was going to happen. He was inviting me to be part of it. He was commissioning me to help prepare others for it. And in that invitation, in that commissioning, I felt both the overwhelming privilege and the terrifying responsibility of what he was asking me to do. Who am I that the creator of the universe would speak to me? Who am I that the King of Kings would reveal his secrets to me? Who am I that the Savior of the world would entrust me with this message? I am nobody. I am nothing. But he chose me anyway. He chose me not because of who I am, but because of who he is. He chose me not because of my worthiness, but because of his grace. He chose me not because of my ability, but because of his power. And in that choosing, he has changed everything. I need you to understand something. I am not special. I am not some super spiritual person. I am just an ordinary person who loves Jesus and was desperate enough to seek him in the middle of the night. But he chose me. He chose to reveal these things to me, and now he is asking me to share them with you, not because I am worthy, but because he is faithful, because he loves you enough to warn you, because he wants you to be ready. So I'm going to tell you everything he showed me. I'm going to share all 7 of the revelations he gave me, and I need you to listen with your heart, not just your mind, because this is not just information. This is invitation. This is preparation. This is destiny calling your name. I have spent my life trying to be faithful, trying to obey, trying to follow Jesus the best I know how. I have failed many times. I have fallen many times. I have messed up more times than I can count. But through it all, I have kept coming back to him. I have kept repenting. I have kept trying. I have kept believing. And maybe that is why he chose me, not because I am perfect, not because I have it all together, but because I keep coming back, because I keep trying, because I keep believing. He is looking for people who will not give up, people who will not turn away, people who will keep seeking him even when it is hard, even when it does not make sense, even when everything in them wants to quit. Those are the people he uses. Those are the people he speaks to. Those are the people he reveals his secrets to. And maybe that is you. Maybe you are one of those people. Maybe you have been faithful through the hard times. Maybe you have kept seeking even when it seemed like he was not answering. Maybe you have kept believing even when everything around you was screaming doubt. If so, then this message is for you. He sees you, he knows you, and he has something he wants to show you. The first thing he showed me was about the shaking. He said that what we are experiencing right now is just the beginning. He showed me a vision of the world, and I saw everything that can be shaken being shaken. Governments, economies, systems, institutions, even churches. Everything that man has built that is not founded on him is being shaken. But here is what he wants you to know. This shaking is not destruction. It is distinction. It is separation. It is the process by which heaven is separating what is eternal from what is temporary, what is real from what is counterfeit, what is of him from what is not of him. I saw people in this vision. Some were terrified. They were clinging to things that were crumbling. They were holding on to security that was vanishing. They were panicked because everything they trusted in was failing them. But others were standing firm. They were not afraid. They were actually at peace. They had a confidence that did not make sense in the midst of all the chaos. And Jesus explained why. He said that those who are standing firm are the ones who have built their lives on him, on his word, on his truth. They are the ones who have not put their trust in things that can be shaken. And because of that, the shaking does not destroy them. It actually establishes them. It proves what is real in their lives. It removes the things that were false. It leaves them with only what cannot be shaken. I saw this shaking happening in every sphere of society. In governments, leaders were falling, policies were failing, systems were collapsing. In economies, markets were crashing, currencies were failing, businesses were closing. In institutions, organizations were crumbling, traditions were being questioned, foundations were being exposed. Even in the church, movements were ending, ministries were failing, leaders were falling. Everything that was built on anything other than him was being shaken. But in the midst of all this shaking, there was a remnant, a people who were standing firm, a people who were not afraid, a people who were actually thriving in the midst of the chaos. And these were the people who had built their lives on the rock, on him, on his word, on his truth. They were the ones who had learned to hear his voice. They were the ones who had learned to follow his leading. They were the ones who had learned to trust him even when it did not make sense. And because of that, the shaking was not destroying them. It was actually establishing them. It was actually proving what was real in their lives. It was actually removing everything that was false so that only what was true remained. He looked at me with those tear-filled eyes and he said, "Tell them not to fear the shaking. Tell them to welcome it. Tell them that the shaking is their friend, because the shaking is revealing who they really are. It is revealing what they have built their lives on, and it is giving them the opportunity to choose what is eternal." He showed me that this shaking is going to increase. It is going to get more intense. But he also showed me that for those who are his, for those who have chosen him, this shaking is actually preparation. It is making them ready for what comes next. It is stripping away everything that would hinder them from walking fully in their destiny. So if you are feeling the shaking right now, if your world feels unstable, if things you thought were secure are proving to be not so secure after all, do not be afraid, do not panic. Instead, ask him what he is trying to show you. What is he removing? What is he establishing? Because he is shaking everything so that only what cannot be shaken will remain. I need to be honest with you. The shaking is not comfortable. It is not pleasant. It is not something we would choose if we had the option, but it is necessary. It is necessary because we have built our lives on so many things that are not him. We have built our lives on our careers, on our finances, on our relationships, on our ministries, on our reputations, on our comfort, on our security, and all of those things can be shaken. All of those things can fail. All of those things can collapse, but he cannot be shaken. His word cannot be shaken. His truth cannot be shaken. His kingdom cannot be shaken. And when everything else is shaken, what remains is what is real. What remains is what is true. What remains is what is eternal. So do not resist the shaking. Do not fight against it. Do not try to hold on to things that are being shaken. Instead, let go. Let go of everything that is not Him. Let go of everything that is temporary. Let go of everything that can be shaken. And hold on to Him. Hold on to His word. Hold on to His truth. Hold on to what cannot be shaken. Because when the shaking is over, what remains will be worth more than anything you lost. The second thing he showed me was about the hidden ones. He said that there is a company of people he has been preparing in secret, people who have been hidden away, people who have been through seasons of obscurity and isolation and waiting, people who have felt forgotten, people who have wondered if their time would ever come. He showed me these people in the vision, and I saw them in dark places, in caves, in wilderness seasons, in hidden rooms, in places of deep testing and refining, and they were weary, so weary. Some had been in these hidden places for years, for decades. They had been through so much rejection, misunderstanding, delay after delay. They had given up on their dreams. They had buried their hopes. They had settled for less than what God had promised them. But Jesus showed me something beautiful. He showed me that while they were hidden, He was working. While they were waiting, He was preparing. While they felt forgotten, He was positioning them for their greatest hour. I saw these hidden ones in every nation, in every generation, in every walk of life. Some were young, some were old, some were rich, some were poor, some were educated, some were uneducated, but they all had one thing in common. They had all been through the fire. They had all been through the wilderness. They had all been through the hidden season, and in that hidden season, something had been forged in them. Something deep, something real, something that could not be manufactured any other way. They had learned to trust Him when they could not see Him. They had learned to believe Him when circumstances contradicted His promises. They had learned to love Him when He seemed silent. They had learned to follow Him when the path was unclear. And in that learning, they had developed a depth of character and a strength of spirit that could only come through the hidden season. He said that these hidden ones are about to emerge, not because they have earned it, not because they are ready in their own strength, but because their time has come. He showed me them coming out of the darkness, and the light of His glory was upon them. They were changed, transformed. The wilderness had done its work. The isolation had produced something precious. The waiting had created depth and substance that could not be manufactured any other way. And as they emerged, I saw that they carried something. They carried authority. They carried power. They carried a presence that shifted atmospheres. They carried answers for the problems the world is facing. They carried solutions that only heaven could provide. Jesus looked at me with such intensity and He said, "These are my chosen ones. These are the ones I have marked for this moment. These are the ones who have been hidden so that when they emerge, no one will be able to deny that I am with them." I saw them emerging in every sphere of society, in government, in business, in education, in media, in arts, in entertainment, in every area where influence is exercised. And as they emerged, things began to shift. Systems that were broken began to be repaired. Problems that seemed unsolvable began to find solutions. Darkness that seemed impenetrable began to be penetrated by light. It was not that they were trying to make a difference. It was that they could not help but make a difference. They carried something. They carried Him. They carried His presence. They carried His power. They carried His glory. And wherever they went, whatever they did, that presence, that power, that glory went with them. It shifted atmospheres. It broke chains. It opened doors. It transformed lives. It was not about them. It was about Him. It was not about their gifts. It was about His grace. It was not about their abilities. It was about His power. And that is what made them so effective. That is what made them so dangerous to the enemy. That is what made them so transformative to the world around them. I need to ask you something. Are you one of these hidden ones? Have you been in a season of obscurity? Have you felt forgotten by God? Have you wondered if your time will ever come? If so, I need you to hear this. Your hidden season is not wasted. Your waiting is not in vain. God has been with you in every moment of your isolation. He has been working in you. He has been preparing you, and your time to emerge is coming. In fact, it may be closer than you think. He showed me that the emergence of the hidden ones is connected to the shaking. As the world shakes, the hidden ones will arise. As systems fail, the hidden ones will bring solutions. As darkness increases, the hidden ones will shine brighter. So do not lose heart. Do not give up. What you have been through has not destroyed you. It has prepared you. And God is about to use everything you have walked through to display His glory through you in ways you never imagined possible. I know how hard the hidden season is. I know how lonely it feels. I know how tempting it is to give up. I know how easy it is to believe that God has forgotten you, but He has not. He has been with you every step of the way. He has been working in you even when you could not see it. He has been preparing you even when you could not feel it. He has been positioning you even when you could not understand it. And the day is coming when you will see why. The day is coming when you will understand. The day is coming when you will look back on this season and you will thank Him for every moment of it, because you will see that He was doing something in you that could not be done any other way. He was forging something in you that could not be forged any other way. He was preparing you for something that could not be prepared for any other way. So hold on, keep pressing in, keep believing, keep trusting. Your time is coming. Your emergence is near. And when you emerge, you will emerge with something that could only come through the hidden season. The third thing he showed me was about the great exchange. He said that in this season, there is going to be a supernatural exchange taking place, an exchange of glory, an exchange of authority, an exchange of influence. He showed me people who have been faithful in small things, people who have served without recognition, people who have given without receiving, people who have remained true when it cost them something. And he showed me that these people are about to receive a supernatural promotion, not a promotion that comes from man, but a promotion that comes from heaven. I saw in the vision that those who have been last are about to become first. Those who have been servants are about to become rulers. Those who have been hidden are about to be revealed. Those who have been despised are about to be honored. It is a complete reversal of the world's system, a divine reversal that will shock everyone who sees it. I saw this exchange happening in every area of life. In the workplace, those who have been faithful in obscurity were being promoted to positions of influence. In ministry, those who have served without recognition were being given platforms that would impact nations. In families, those who have been overlooked were being elevated to positions of honor. In every sphere, the world system was being overturned and God's system was being established. It was not that these people were seeking promotion. It was not that they were campaigning for position. It was not that they were trying to climb the ladder. They were simply being faithful. They were simply serving. They were simply doing what God had called them to do. And in that faithfulness, in that service, in that obedience, God was promoting them. He was elevating them. He was giving them influence that they never sought, but that He wanted them to have. But He also showed me the other side of this exchange. He showed me people who have built their ministries, their businesses, their influence on selfish ambition, on manipulation, on compromise, on things that look good on the outside but are rotten on the inside. And I saw that these people are about to lose what they have built. Their influence is going to collapse. Their platforms are going to crumble. Their support is going to vanish, because what they built was not founded on Him. It was founded on their own strength, their own wisdom, their own agenda. And Jesus said that this exchange is necessary. It is necessary because the world needs to see the difference between what man builds and what God builds. It is necessary because the kingdom cannot be advanced through counterfeit means. It is necessary because only what is built by Him will stand in the days ahead. I saw this happening in real time. People who had built large followings were suddenly losing influence. People who had built successful businesses were suddenly seeing them collapse. People who had built impressive ministries were suddenly watching them crumble. And the reason was always the same. They had built on the wrong foundation. They had built on themselves. They had built on their own strength. They had built on their own wisdom. They had built on their own agenda. And when the shaking came, what they built could not stand. It collapsed. It crumbled. It fell apart. But those who had built on Him, those who had built on His word, those who had built on His truth, they were not just surviving, they were thriving. They were not just standing, they were advancing. They were not just holding on, they were moving forward, because what they built was built on the right foundation. It was built on Him, and what is built on Him will stand. He looked at me with those eyes that saw everything, and He said, "Tell my people to examine themselves. Tell them to ask me to search their hearts. Tell them to make sure that what they are building will stand the test, because the great exchange is coming, and it is coming sooner than they think." I saw in the vision that this exchange is already beginning. It is happening right now. We are seeing it in the news. We are seeing it in the church world. We are seeing it in business. We are seeing it in every sphere of society. Those who have built on Him are rising. Those who have built on themselves are falling. And this is just the beginning. The exchange is going to accelerate. It is going to become more visible. It is going to become more undeniable. So I need to ask you, what are you building? What is the foundation of your life, your ministry, your work? Is it built on Him, or is it built on something else? Because everything that is not built on Him is about to be shaken. and everything that is built on him is about to be established. This is not a time to be casual about our foundations. This is not a time to assume that everything is fine. This is a time to examine ourselves. This is a time to ask the hard questions. This is a time to make sure that what we are building will stand, because the shaking is going to reveal the foundation. The shaking is going to expose what is real and what is counterfeit. The shaking is going to show what is built on him and what is built on something else. And we want to be on the right side of that shaking. We want to be among those who are rising, not falling. We want to be among those who are being established, not collapsing. So examine your heart, examine your motives, examine your foundation, and make sure that what you are building is built on him. The fourth thing he showed me was about the sound. He said that there is a new sound being released from heaven, a sound that carries authority, a sound that carries power, a sound that shifts atmospheres. He showed me people singing, people worshiping, people declaring his word. And as they released this sound, I saw it going forth like a wave, like a ripple that started small but grew larger and larger until it covered entire regions. I saw this sound breaking chains. I saw it setting captives free. I saw it healing the sick. I saw it opening doors that no man could open. I saw it shifting governments. I saw it transforming cities. This sound was not just music. It was not just worship songs. It was a frequency of heaven, a frequency that carries the very presence and power of God. I saw this sound being released in every nation, in every language, in every culture. It was not limited to one style of music. It was not limited to one expression of worship. It was not limited to one type of gathering. It was a sound that transcended all of those things. It was a sound that came from the heart of God. It was a sound that carried his DNA. It was a sound that was recognizable anywhere because it carried his presence. And as this sound was released, things began to shift. Spiritual atmospheres began to change. Strongholds began to break. Darkness began to retreat. Light began to advance. It was not that the people were trying to make something happen. It was that the sound itself carried power. The sound itself carried authority. The sound itself carried the presence of God. And when that sound was released, it could not help but impact everything it touched. Jesus explained that this sound is being released to those who have been prepared to carry it, those who have been through the fire, those who have been purified, those who have learned to worship him in the secret place, those who have learned to value his presence more than performance. He said that this sound cannot be manufactured, it cannot be copied, it cannot be produced through human effort. It can only be received by those who have learned to dwell in his presence, those who have learned to hear his voice, those who have learned to follow his leading. I saw in the vision that there are people right now who are beginning to carry this sound. They are starting to release it in their worship, in their prayers, in their declarations. And as they do, things are shifting, things are changing, the atmosphere is changing. I saw these people in every denomination, in every stream, in every expression of the church. They were not limited by their background. They were not limited by their training. They were not limited by their experience. What qualified them to carry this sound was not their natural ability, but their spiritual preparation. They had been through the fire. They had been purified. They had learned to worship him in the secret place. They had learned to value his presence more than performance. And because of that, they were able to receive and carry this sound. They were able to release it in a way that shifted atmospheres. They were able to release it in a way that broke chains. They were able to release it in a way that transformed lives. And this sound is not just for them. It is for everyone who will pay the price to carry it. It is for everyone who will go through the preparation. It is for everyone who will learn to dwell in his presence. But he also showed me that there is a counterfeit sound, a sound that looks real but carries no power, a sound that entertains but does not transform, a sound that makes people feel good but does not set them free. And he said that in this season the counterfeit will be exposed. The difference between the true and the false will become undeniable. Those who have been operating in the counterfeit will lose their influence. Those who are carrying the true sound will rise up and take their place. He showed me that this sound is going to be one of the primary weapons that the hidden ones will use as they emerge. It is going to be through this sound that they will shift nations. It is going to be through this sound that they will bring revival. It is going to be through this sound that they will display the glory of God to the world. I saw the counterfeit sound being exposed in churches and conferences, in worship gatherings. People had been drawn to it because it sounded good. It was professional, it was polished, it was impressive, but it lacked power, it lacked presence, it lacked the ability to transform. And when the true sound was released, the difference was undeniable. The counterfeit could not compete. The counterfeit could not stand. The counterfeit was exposed for what it was, and those who had been operating in the counterfeit were humbled. They were confronted. They were given a choice. Would they repent? Would they seek the true sound? Would they go through the preparation necessary to carry it? Or would they hold on to the counterfeit? Would they refuse to change? Would they continue operating in something that had no power? The choice was theirs, but the exposure was inevitable. The shaking was coming to the sound as well, and only what was real would remain. I need to ask you, are you hearing this sound? Are you beginning to sense that there is something new, something fresh, something powerful being released from heaven? If so, lean into it, pursue it, ask Him to give you this sound, ask Him to teach you how to carry it, because this sound is not just for your personal blessing, it is a weapon, it is a tool, it is a key that is going to unlock things that have been locked for generations, and He wants to give it to you, but you have to be willing to pay the price, you have to be willing to go through the preparation, you have to be willing to value His presence more than anything else, because this sound flows from intimacy. It flows from relationship. It flows from the place of knowing Him. I have learned that you cannot manufacture this sound. You cannot learn it through training. You cannot acquire it through practice. It is a gift. It is a grace. It is something that He gives. But He gives it to those who are hungry. He gives it to those who are desperate. He gives it to those who will pursue Him at any cost. So pursue Him. Pursue His presence. Pursue intimacy with Him. Spend time in the secret place. Learn to hear His voice. Learn to follow His leading. Learn to dwell in His presence. And as you do, He will begin to give you this sound. He will begin to teach you how to carry it. He will begin to teach you how to release it. And when you do, you will see things shift. You will see atmospheres change. You will see chains break. You will see lives transformed, because this sound carries His presence. It carries His power. It carries His glory. The fifth thing He showed me was about the harvest. He said that we are entering the greatest harvest season the world has ever seen, a harvest of souls, a harvest of miracles, a harvest of provision, a harvest of everything that has been sown in faith over generations. He showed me fields that were white for harvest, fields that stretched as far as the eye could see, and I saw workers in these fields, workers who were tired, workers who had been laboring for years with little visible fruit, workers who had faced discouragement and opposition and weariness. But as I watched, I saw something shift. The ground that had seemed barren suddenly began to produce. The seeds that had been planted years ago suddenly began to sprout. The labor that had seemed wasted suddenly began to bear fruit. And the harvest came in, not gradually, not slowly, but suddenly, abundantly, overwhelmingly. I saw this harvest happening in every nation, in every city, in every community. It was not limited to one place. It was not limited to one people group. It was a global harvest, a harvest that would touch every corner of the earth. And the workers who were bringing in this harvest were not just professional ministers. They were not just full-time missionaries. They were ordinary believers, people who had jobs and families and responsibilities, people who had learned to hear His voice, people who had learned to follow His leading, people who had learned to be available to Him wherever they were. And as they made themselves available, He used them to bring in the harvest. He used them at work. He used them at school. He used them in their neighborhoods. He used them in their families. He used them everywhere they went. Jesus looked at me with such compassion, and He said, "Tell my laborers not to give up. Tell them that their breakthrough is coming. Tell them that the harvest they have been believing for is closer than they think." He showed me that there are people right now who are on the verge of giving up, people who have been sowing and sowing and sowing with very little return, people who have been praying for years for loved ones who seem to be getting farther away from God rather than closer, people who have been believing for promises that seem to be taking forever to be fulfilled. And He said to tell them that the season of sowing is over. The season of harvest has begun. I saw in the vision that this harvest is not just about souls coming to salvation. It is about every seed that has been sown in faith. Seeds of prayer, seeds of giving, seeds of service, seeds of obedience. Every seed is about to produce a harvest. I saw people who had been praying for their children for years, suddenly seeing them come to Christ. I saw people who had been giving faithfully, even when they did not have much, suddenly seeing supernatural provision. I saw people who had been serving in obscurity suddenly seeing their fruit multiply. I saw people who had been believing for healing suddenly seeing miracles manifest. It was as if the dam had broken. It was as if the floodgates had opened. It was as if everything that had been held back was suddenly being released, and the harvest was coming in waves, wave after wave after wave, each wave bringing more fruit than the one before, each wave displaying more of His goodness, each wave revealing more of His faithfulness. But He also showed me that this harvest requires workers, workers who are ready, workers who are prepared, workers who have been through the preparation process. He said that many are called, but few are chosen because few are willing to pay the price of preparation. Few are willing to go through the hidden season. Few are willing to be purified. Few are willing to lay down their own agendas. But those who are willing, those who have been prepared, these are the ones who will reap the harvest. These are the ones who will see the greatest returns. These are the ones who will be used to display His glory to the world. I saw in the vision that the harvest workers are the hidden ones, the ones who have been prepared in secret, the ones who have been faithful in the unseen, and as they emerge, they are going to bring in a harvest that will exceed anything we have seen before. I saw them moving in power. I saw them moving in authority. I saw them moving in signs and wonders. They were not trying to make things happen. They were simply following His leading. They were simply obeying His voice. They were simply doing what He told them to do. And as they did, miracles happened. As they did, lives were transformed. As they did, the kingdom advanced. It was not about their gifts. It was not about their abilities. It was not about their training. It was about Him. It was about His presence. It was about His power flowing through them. And that is what made the harvest so abundant. That is what made the harvest so supernatural. That is what made the harvest so undeniable. He showed me that this harvest is connected to the shaking. As the world shakes, people become hungry for truth. People become desperate for answers. People become open to the gospel in ways they have never been before. And the harvest workers are positioned to meet that hunger, to provide those answers, to share that gospel. I saw people coming to Jesus in droves, not just individuals, but families, communities, entire regions. And it is not just salvation, it is healing, it is deliverance, it is transformation, it is the fullness of the kingdom being displayed on earth as it is in heaven. So if you have been sowing, if you have been laboring, if you have been believing, do not give up. Your harvest is coming. In fact, it may already be breaking forth right now. Open your eyes. Look for it, because the season of harvest has begun. I saw that the shaking was creating a hunger that could not be satisfied by anything but Him. People who had been satisfied with the things of this world were suddenly finding those things empty. People who had been confident in their own strength were suddenly realizing their weakness. People who had been secure in their own wisdom were suddenly discovering their ignorance. And in that emptiness, in that weakness, in that ignorance, they were hungry. They were desperate. They were looking for something real, something true, something that could not be shaken. And the harvest workers were there to meet that hunger. They were there to point them to Him. They were there to show them that He is the answer. They were there to lead them into a relationship with the one who could satisfy the deepest longings of their hearts. The sixth thing He showed me was about the glory. He said that the glory of God is about to be revealed in ways we have never seen before, not just in meetings, not just in church services, but in the marketplace, in the streets, in everyday life. He showed me people carrying His glory into their workplaces, into their schools, into their neighborhoods. And as they carried this glory, I saw it transforming everything around them. I saw sick people being healed just by being in their presence. I saw demonic strongholds being broken just by them walking into a room. I saw atmospheres shifting just by them speaking a word. I saw miracles happening naturally, supernaturally, as a normal part of everyday life. I saw this glory being carried by ordinary people, people who had jobs and families and responsibilities, people who were not in full-time ministry, people who were just living their lives but living them with Him. They had learned to host His presence. They had learned to carry His glory. They had learned to release His power. And as they went about their daily lives, things happened. Miracles happened. Healings happened. Deliverances happened. It was not that they were trying to make things happen. It was that they were carrying something. They were carrying His glory. They were carrying His presence. They were carrying His power. And wherever they went, whatever they did, that glory, that presence, that power went with them. It shifted atmospheres. It broke chains. It opened doors. It transformed lives. Jesus explained that this glory is not something we can earn. It is not something we can work for. It is something He gives, but He gives it to those who have learned to host His presence, those who have learned to value His presence above everything else, those who have learned to live from the place of intimacy. He showed me that there are people right now who are beginning to carry this glory in increasing measure, people who have been through the fire, people who have been purified, people who have learned to dwell in the secret place. And as they carry this glory, things are shifting. Things are changing. The supernatural is becoming natural. The impossible is becoming possible. I saw these people in every walk of life. Teachers carrying glory into their classrooms. doctors carrying glory into their hospitals, business people carrying glory into their boardrooms, parents carrying glory into their homes. And as they carried this glory, things changed. Students were transformed, patients were healed, businesses were blessed, families were restored. It was not that they were doing anything special, it was that they were carrying something special. They were carrying His glory. They were carrying His presence. They were carrying His power. And that glory, that presence, that power was transforming everything around them. But He also showed me that this glory requires humility. It requires surrender. It requires a complete laying down of self, because the glory cannot flow through pride. It cannot flow through ambition. It cannot flow through anything that exalts self. It can only flow through brokenness, through humility, through a heart that is completely surrendered to Him. He said that many want the glory, but few are willing to pay the price of humility. Many want the power, but few are willing to die to self. But those who are willing, those who embrace the cross, these are the ones who will carry the glory. These are the ones who will see His power displayed through their lives in unprecedented ways. I saw that the glory is not given to those who seek it for themselves. It is not given to those who want to build their own ministries. It is not given to those who want to make a name for themselves. It is given to those who are willing to be nothing so that He can be everything. It is given to those who are willing to be hidden so that He can be seen. It is given to those who are willing to decrease so that He can increase. And that is the paradox. The more we die to self, the more His glory can flow through us. The more we surrender, the more His power can be displayed. The more we humble ourselves, the more He can exalt us, not for our sake, but for His sake, not for our glory, but for His glory, not for our name, but for His name. I saw in the vision that this glory is going to be one of the primary distinguishing marks of the hidden ones. As they emerge, they will be marked by His glory. They will carry a presence that cannot be explained. They will walk in a power that cannot be denied. And the world will take notice. The world will have to acknowledge that God is with them. He showed me that this glory is not just for their benefit. It is for the world. It is to display His goodness. It is to demonstrate His power. It is to draw people to Him. So if you are hungry for His glory, if you are desperate to see His power displayed, ask Him to search your heart. Ask Him to remove anything that would hinder the flow of His glory. Ask Him to teach you humility. Ask Him to teach you surrender, because the glory is coming, and He wants to use you to display it to the world. I saw that the glory would be the sign that would cause people to stop and take notice. It would be the evidence that would cause people to believe. It would be the manifestation that would cause people to encounter Him. Because the glory is not just an experience. It is not just a feeling. It is not just a phenomenon. It is His presence made visible. It is His power made tangible. It is His goodness made real. And when people encounter His glory, they encounter Him. They encounter His love. They encounter His power. They encounter His goodness. And that encounter changes everything. It changes how they see God. It changes how they see themselves. It changes how they see the world. It changes everything. The seventh thing He showed me, the final thing, the most important thing, this is what He saved for last. This is what He built up to throughout the entire vision. And when He showed it to me, I fell on my face. I could not stand. The weight of it, the beauty of it, the significance of it, it was too much. The seventh thing He showed me was about the bride. He said that everything that is happening right now, everything that is about to happen, all of it, it is all about the bride. It is all about preparing the bride. It is all about making the bride ready. He showed me the bride not as a building, not as an institution, but as a people who are in love with Jesus, a people who are wholly devoted to Him, a people who have been purified, a people who have been prepared, a people without spot or wrinkle or blemish. I saw the bride in the vision, and she was breathtakingly beautiful. Not because of her appearance, not because of her accomplishments, not because of her status, but because of who she was. She was a people who had been transformed by His love. She was a people who had been purified by His blood. She was a people who had been prepared by His Spirit, and she was ready. She was ready for Him. She was ready for her destiny. She was ready for the greatest hour the world has ever known. I saw this bride in the vision, and she was beautiful, radiant, glorious. She was clothed in white, but not just any white. She was clothed in His righteousness. She was shining with His glory. She was filled with His presence. And as I looked at her, I could hear her heart. I could hear her love for Jesus. It was a love that was pure, a love that was passionate, a love that was unconditional. She loved Him not for what He could give her. She loved Him for who He is. She loved Him with her whole heart, her whole soul, her whole mind, her whole strength. And Jesus looked at her with such love, such tenderness, such delight. It was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. I saw that the bride was made up of people from every nation, from every tribe, from every tongue, from every background, young and old, rich and poor, educated and uneducated, people who had nothing in common except him, people who had been brought together by his love, people who had been united by his spirit. And in that unity, there was power, there was glory, there was a testimony to the world that Jesus is real, that his love is real, that his power is real. The bride was not perfect in herself. She was perfect because of him. She was not righteous in herself. She was righteous because of him. She was not glorious in herself. She was glorious because of him. And that is the beauty of the bride. She reflects him, she displays him, she reveals him to the world. He explained that everything we have talked about, the shaking, the hidden ones, the great exchange, the sound, the harvest, the glory, all of it is for this purpose, to prepare the bride, to make her ready, to purify her, to position her for her greatest hour. He said that the bride is about to step into her destiny. She is about to take her place. She is about to display the glory of God to the world in ways that have never been seen before. But first she must be prepared. First she must be purified. First she must be made ready. And that is what this season is about. That is what the shaking is about. That is what the hidden season is about. That is what everything is about. Preparation, purification, making ready. He showed me that there are two responses to this preparation. Some will embrace it. They will welcome the shaking. They will submit to the purification. They will allow him to remove everything that is not of him. They will allow him to refine them, to purify them, to prepare them, and these ones will become part of the bride. They will walk in their destiny. They will display his glory. They will be used to change the world. But others will resist. They will fight the process. They will hold on to their own ways. They will refuse to let go of things that need to be let go of, and these ones will miss their destiny. They will miss what God has for them. They will be left behind while the bride moves forward into her glory. Jesus looked at me with those tear-filled eyes and he said, "Tell my people to examine themselves. Tell them to ask me to search their hearts. Tell them to make sure they are ready. Tell them to make sure they are part of the bride, because the time is short, the season is urgent, and the bride must be ready." I saw in the vision that the preparation is happening right now. It is happening in this very moment. People are being purified. People are being refined. People are being made ready. The question is, will you be one of them? Will you embrace the process? Will you allow him to prepare you? Will you allow him to make you ready? Because everything depends on your response. I need to ask you the most important question you will ever be asked. Are you ready? Are you part of the bride? Are you wholly devoted to Jesus? Or are you holding back? Are there areas of your life that you have not surrendered to him? Are there things that you are not willing to let go of? If so, I need to warn you. I need to plead with you. Let them go. Surrender them. Because the bride must be without spot or wrinkle or blemish. She must be wholly his, completely devoted, totally surrendered. There is no room for compromise. There is no room for half-hearted devotion. The bride loves Jesus with everything she has, and that is what he is calling you to. That is what he is inviting you into. That is what he is preparing you for. So what does all of this mean for you right now? What are you supposed to do with what I have shared? I need to give you some specific steps, some practical things you can do to respond to what God is doing in this hour. First, you need to get alone with him. You need to create space to hear his voice. You need to get away from the noise and the distractions and the busyness of life and just be with him, like I did tonight. Find a place where you can be alone, where you can pour out your heart to him, where you can listen to what he wants to say to you, because he wants to speak to you. He wants to show you things. He wants to give you direction for your life. But you have to make space. You have to prioritize him. You have to value his presence more than anything else. Second, you need to ask him to search your heart. You need to invite him to examine every area of your life, every motive, every desire, every hidden thing, because he knows you better than you know yourself. He sees things that you cannot see, and he wants to show them to you so that you can deal with them, so that you can be purified, so that you can be made ready. Do not be afraid of what he might show you. Do not be afraid of the process, because his goal is not to condemn you. His goal is to free you. His goal is to prepare you. His goal is to make you ready for your destiny. So invite him in. Ask him to search you. Ask him to reveal anything that needs to be dealt with, and then be willing to deal with it. Be willing to repent. Be willing to change. Be willing to let go of whatever he shows you. Third, you need to surrender completely. totally, unreservedly. You need to lay down your life, your plans, your dreams, your agenda, everything, and you need to take up his agenda, his plans, his dreams, his purposes, because the bride does not live for herself. She lives for him. She exists to please him, to serve him, to display his glory, and that is what he is calling you to. That is what true discipleship is. It is dying to self so that he can live through you. It is laying down your life so that his life can be manifested in you. This is not easy. It is not comfortable. It is not popular, but it is necessary. It is the only way to be ready. It is the only way to walk in your destiny. Fourth, you need to embrace the hidden season. If you are in one, do not fight it. Do not resent it. Do not try to escape it. Instead, recognize it for what it is. It is preparation. It is purification. It is positioning. God is using this season to prepare you for what is coming. He is using this season to develop in you the character and the depth and the intimacy that you will need to carry what he wants to give you. So embrace it, learn from it, grow through it, and trust him. Trust that he knows what he is doing. Trust that he has a purpose. Trust that he is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Fifth, you need to start preparing for the harvest. Start praying for the lost. Start interceding for your family. Start believing for miracles. Start sowing seeds, seeds of prayer, seeds of giving, seeds of service, seeds of obedience, because the harvest is coming and you want to be ready to reap it. You want to be positioned to receive everything that God has for you. So start preparing now. Start sowing now. Start believing now. Do not wait until you see the harvest. Start preparing for it before it comes. That is what faith does. Faith prepares for the harvest before it is visible. Sixth, you need to seek him for the sound. Ask him to give you his sound. Ask him to teach you how to carry his presence. Ask him to teach you how to release his glory, because this sound is going to be a key weapon in the days ahead. It is going to be one of the primary ways that you will shift atmospheres, that you will break chains, that you will display his glory. So pursue it, seek it, ask for it, and be willing to pay the price to carry it. Be willing to go through the preparation. Be willing to value his presence more than anything else, because this sound flows from intimacy. It flows from relationship. It flows from the place of knowing him. Seventh, you need to get ready to emerge. If you have been in a hidden season, if you have been in a time of preparation, your time to emerge is coming. In fact, it may be here already. So start preparing yourself. Start getting ready. Start positioning yourself for what God wants to do through you. Do not let fear hold you back. Do not let insecurity stop you. Do not let the opinions of others discourage you. God has prepared you. God has positioned you. And God is about to use you in ways that you never imagined possible. So get ready. Get ready to step out. Get ready to take your place. Get ready to display his glory to the world. I need to summarize what I have shared with you because this is important. These 7 things that Jesus showed me are not just interesting information. They are prophetic markers. They are signs of what is happening and what is about to happen. The shaking is happening to separate what is eternal from what is temporary. The hidden ones are emerging after seasons of preparation. The great exchange is transferring authority from those who built on themselves to those who built on him. The sound of heaven is being released to shift atmospheres and display his glory. The greatest harvest in history is beginning to come in. The glory of God is being revealed in unprecedented ways. And all of it is for one purpose: to prepare the bride, to make her ready, to position her for her greatest hour. I need to warn you, this is urgent. The time is short. We do not have years to prepare. We have moments, we have days, we have this season, and then the door will close. The opportunity will pass, and those who are not ready will miss it. So do not delay, do not wait, do not procrastinate. Respond now, while you can, while the door is still open, while the opportunity is still available, because this is not a game. This is not something to take lightly. This is your destiny. This is your purpose. This is what you were created for, and you do not want to miss it. But I also want to give you a promise from Jesus himself. He showed me that those who respond, those who embrace the process, those who surrender completely, these ones will see his glory displayed in their lives in ways that exceed anything they have ever imagined. They will walk in power. They will walk in authority. They will walk in intimacy. They will see miracles. They will see harvest. They will see transformation, not just in their own lives, but in the lives of those around them. They will be used to change the world. They will be part of the bride. They will walk in their destiny, and they will experience the fullness of what God has for them. So right now I want to lead you in a prayer of surrender, a prayer of consecration, a prayer of positioning. If you are ready to respond, If you are ready to embrace what God is doing, if you are ready to be made ready, then pray this prayer with me from your heart. Jesus, I come to you right now. I surrender my life to you completely. I surrender my plans, my dreams, my agenda, everything. I lay it all down, and I ask you to take your place, to be Lord of my life, to be Lord of every area. Search my heart, Jesus. Reveal anything that is not of you, anything that needs to be dealt with, anything that is hindering me from walking fully in my destiny, and give me the courage to deal with it. Give me the courage to repent. Give me the courage to change. I embrace your process, Jesus. I embrace the shaking. I embrace the purification. I embrace the preparation. Do whatever you need to do in my life to make me ready. I want to be part of your bride. I want to be wholly devoted to you. I want to walk in my destiny. So prepare me, Jesus. Purify me, position me, and use me for your glory. I ask you for your sound. I ask you for your glory. I ask you for everything you have for me. And I surrender to your process. I surrender to your timing. I surrender to your will. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, if you meant it from your heart, then something has shifted in the spirit realm. You have positioned yourself. You have aligned yourself with what God is doing, and He is going to honor that. He is going to honor your surrender. He is going to honor your response. So expect things to start changing. Expect Him to start working. Expect Him to start preparing you. Expect Him to start positioning you for your destiny. I need to ask you one more thing. Share this message. Share it with others. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Share it with your church. Share it with everyone you can. Because this message is not just for you. It is for everyone who will hear it. It is for everyone who needs to be warned. It is for everyone who needs to be prepared. So do not keep it to yourself. Be a messenger. Be a voice. Be one who sounds the alarm, because the time is short and people need to know. It is now 4:42 in the morning. The sun is starting to rise over the vineyards. The darkness is giving way to light. And as I sit here watching the new day dawn, I am filled with hope, filled with expectation, filled with anticipation, because I know that what God is about to do is greater than anything we have ever seen. I know that the best is yet to come. I know that those who are ready are about to step into the greatest season of their lives. I am still shaking, my heart is still racing, but now it is not from fear. It is from excitement. It is from anticipation. It is from the knowledge that we are living in the most significant moment in history, and we get to be part of it. Jesus is coming back soon. The bride is making herself ready. The harvest is being gathered in, the glory is being revealed, and everything is moving toward His ultimate purpose. So do not lose heart. Do not give up. Do not be discouraged. Your time is coming. Your breakthrough is coming. Your destiny is waiting. And God is faithful. He will complete what He has started. He will finish what He began. He will bring to pass everything He has promised. I am going to go now. I need to rest. But I will be back. I will share more as He shows me more. Because this is just the beginning. There is so much more that He wants to reveal, so much more that He wants to show us. So stay tuned, stay connected, stay hungry, because God is not done. He is just getting started, and the best is yet to come.